losers recognize winners. If you're a champion, I could tell.
This song is now just embedded in my head. Champion to the world. Part of a brand new series on BBC. Going to be on Netflix as well.
Yes.
Written by the Candice Carty-Williams in the building right now.
Hi.
Writer and showrunner.
Yes, that's me.
I just want to start by saying thank you for the representation.
You're very welcome. It's for me as well.
Yeah.
So I had to do it for me first of all, but then also for all of us, obviously.
Yeah, the anticipation for this coming out, because I was on holiday when it came out, and that was the only thing that was making me be like, I need to go back.
Thank you so much. Hope you had a nice holiday despite it.
I did. But it was just, everyone was talking about it. So every time I scrolled on social media, I'd be like, champion. And I'd be like, okay, that's enough social media today, because I don't want to hear any spoilers.
And people flew through it, boy. Like, it took us months, years to make it, and people were finishing it in like, by Saturday morning, people were like, oh yeah, it's really good, it's finished now. And I was like, aye.
Yeah, because I watched 4 episodes in a row.
Wow.
And I was like, stop, because it's going to finish soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Grateful for you. Grateful for everyone though. But people have been talking about it in a way that I didn't anticipate, and loving it in a way that I didn't anticipate. And that's like, when you're a creator, that's all you want. You just want the people to be like, yeah, we like it.
Yeah. And I think the best thing is that you're part of the culture. You've come in, you're just repping Jamaica.
Of course.
Got your flags, I got my necklace.
I saw it.
And people probably say to you, how do you get it so right? But it's just part of who you are, right?
It's just what I know. It's just what I've grown up knowing. Obviously, family are from Jamaica. Go back there often. Got to film there, which was fantastic. I that was the best part of the whole process for me.
I could imagine.
And when I said like, I think we should go to Jamaica, everyone was like, yeah, right. And then eventually they were like, nah, she's making sense. And I was like, you see?
Yeah.
So we got to go there for like 4 weeks. Anyway, I digress. The culture is what I know and what I love and what I've always wanted to do. Even in novels, it's like, that's what I want to talk about, what I know and where we come from in a way that I think people have done before, but for this, it's just I like it being part of the mainstream, and I like people to be talking about it now, and also in the right ways. Because when I say people have done it before, I don't necessarily mean us.
Exactly, because even the house, the decor in the house, the yellow walls. My mum had yellow walls in the front room.
Exactly.
The stairs are like a reddish, rusty colour. That was the colour of the stairs in the house.
Do you know what I mean? So it was just like, it was important that even little details, like I worked really closely with the design team, like even though that's kind of like, it's like small, but like even the carpets, even those things, I was across that sort of thing, because I was like, it has to feel real, because otherwise what I don't want is people to watch it and be like, that doesn't make sense, because then you're just out of the world, you're out of the story. And so I was like, let me not give anyone anything to like have to trail off about. I just want them to be like, I'm in it and I get it and I see it and I remember it and I know it.
And it feels so South London. Even in the opening scenes, you can see Lewisham and stuff. I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, my cousin used to live around the corner from there. Like, it's home. Exactly. It feels like home.
Yeah, it has to, because you see so much stuff on the TV and you're like, yeah, okay, that's kind of like a place maybe that is kind of, what is it? I don't know, but it's like just setting the tone of it. But I was like, I know South London and I want to show South London, because like, you don't get to do it often. So it's like, let me just do it for this BBC and Netflix series. Let me just put it on the map quickly like that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. There's even pigeons in that opening bit.
So many pigeons. So many pigeons. Run through that square.
Growing up, I kind of would say I relate a lot to Vita, because youngest in the family, those kind of vibes. And she's told a lot by her dad, like, this is a big people conversation. That was me. You're not allowed to talk sometimes.
Absolutely.
Well, why?
Exactly. But I had that when I was growing up. Of course, there were so many running around, like brothers, like stepbrothers, half brothers, and even like my nan, she would like run around the house, she would do everything, she would cook, she would clean, and then when it was dinner time, she was like, okay, move out the way, I need to serve your granddad's food. And I remember when I was really young being like, why aren't you eating first? I don't understand. And she was like, that's just not how we do things. And from that point on, I was like, I was clocking it all from early. Like, I was like, this isn't right. And everyone in the family would be like, oh, you're the black sheep because you stand up for like the girls, or you say something. And I was like, oh, okay, is that all it takes to be the black sheep? To be like, I feel like this isn't necessarily right all the time. And that was difficult. But then when it came to doing this, I was like, yeah, you have to put that difficult, the stuff that you've recognized, you've got to put it somewhere. I always put like the pain or the confusion or the misunderstanding into my work because it's just the outlet.
But I think that's what's so great about your work is that it speaks up for things that are often just squashed to the side. You've got a black woman as the centre of the show, written by a black woman, like the South London, it's Jamaica, it's fully encompassing of the culture.
It's important to me. It's really important. I think like we're here and we're working really hard. And I think it is nice for us to be in the centre because so often as well, when you're working, when you're doing stuff, you're still the person who's like, people still don't see you as the head honcho or the main because literally just, they don't even realise it. That's just how society's told you it is. And so like, even when I meet people and I say like, oh, yeah, no, I wrote the show, like I made the show, they're like, you did it. And it's like, what? Yes, of course.
I did, actually.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, still a surprise, but that's how it goes. But we're trying to change all of that.
Exactly.
There's room for everyone.
What was it like making the soundtrack for the show? Because the songs are just, they can work as songs on streaming platforms.
Well, that was the plan. Like, I have such high musical tastes. Like, I listen, music is my everything. Music is my, from the minute I open my eyes to the minute I go to sleep, it's just music. I listen to Reprezent in the car, obviously. And so I think that my barometer for like what was like a good song for the show was always so high. But also it was kind of like I could fulfill my musical wish list, which is amazing because like, I don't work in music, I work in like the arts, in like literature, whatever. So it's like when I get to like jump in and just be like, okay, this is what I want, and I could be like, I want these producers, I want these songwriters, and I think we basically got pretty much, I think we got like 90% of who we reached out to. And like obviously the first people we reached out to were like Ray Black and Getz, because we were like, they're going to be like two of the main songwriters for this. And then Debbie, who wrote all of Vita's songs, she was incredible. We were just amazing. Like, do you know what I mean? And so it was just like, and like Debbie, I always like, if I see someone come up on social media or I hear a song, I'll bookmark it. And I'll be like, I know that I'm coming back to that in the future. So a lot of this was just me being like, okay, Millions, obviously, we're in Birmingham for like one of the episodes. Like, what can we do with Millions? And it was just me being like, who do I love? Whose sounds do I love? Who do I think could make up this world of champion? Because obviously with someone like Vita and Bosco and Rusty, we had like people ghostwriting for them. So it was like, we're already going to take... So like, Getz is obviously... Bosco's songwriter, and you can tell that, but Malcolm, who's Bosco, puts his own spin on it. So it was like, how do we create this new world of like music across genre so we can feasibly sell people the idea that these people are dominating in the music scene in this world of the show. So yeah, it was a lot of work, but I loved it. So it was like, I just got to like talk to all of my idols and be like, hello, please come have a song for me, thank you. And they were like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, and it's so good that you got Millions to do the Birmingham bit, because sometimes music is just so London centric.
Yes.
Whereas you actually... And this was filmed in Birmingham as well.
So it's 5 months I lived in Birmingham for this show. So 5 months saying goodbye to my family and be like, guys, I'll see you on the other side. But yeah, that was important. Like, going to Birmingham was important because I know that the music scene in Birmingham is popping. So it was just like, of course, we have to go and pay like respect to it. So yeah, we have one whole episode there. That was already there from the plan. So I was like, Jamaica episode, please. Birmingham episode, please. Because I just think like it's not... We can't just say London is the centre of everything. I don't think that's realistic to do. And so, yes, Millions, innit? It has to be Millions. And then we have Corey Weeks, who plays Bulla, who wrote his own bars. And incredible. Like, and also he wrote some of Vita's as well. And I love that. I love a cross genre bara. And then Kieran Hamilton Amos, who plays Rusty, he wrote his verse in Oslo, which is a song that him and Bosco perform in Birmingham. So I think as well for me, it was, if the cast like wanted to, it was important for me to be like, all right, show me what you've got.
Yeah, and you also had C Beats producing.
Oh my God, of course. This little genius. She was, when we approached her, she was like 18, 19. And we were like, hi, do you want to just do beats for the show? And she was like, yes, please. And she's just like, she came through for us every time. And like, even to just say like, okay, here's this Sugar Babe song. Can you make it drill? She was like, yeah, all right. And then 2 days later, she was like, here you go. Do you know what I mean? Like, she is remarkable, and I want to work with her for the rest of my life. Do you know what I mean? She's just, of course, I like keep people in the fold. That's my thing. I'm just like, so I'll see you again, Sinead.
Bless
for something.
You. Yeah.
Give you a little cameo.
God will. So the show and Vita, I want to talk about, because she starts off being, obviously she's in South London, she's around her family, she's got her friend Honey, who Ray Black plays, and then she kind of steps into a different world, and there's a scene where she's getting her hair and makeup done by a white woman, and the makeup's done, and she kind of looks in the mirror like, okay, and then the woman's like, so what about your hair? She was like, we can just leave that.
We'll leave that. Do you know how many times I've said that?
Me too.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, even the makeup is just like, all right, cool. And actually now I'm at the point where I say, like, beforehand, who's doing the hair and who's doing the makeup. And more time with the hair, I will do it. Let's just leave it. I'll come in and it's done. Do you know what I mean? So it's that. But I think, like, you have to shine a light on these things. Like, so many of us, we step into these industries, we haven't been in them before, and we expect people to treat us properly and to look after us, and you realise that people do not have any idea about makeup, they don't have any idea about hair, but they'll give it a go. I don't like that give it a go thing. Like, send someone who knows what they're doing, or don't send anyone at all. I'll come with my hair done. And it's things like that. I just think, the more we step into these industries, the more we need to be catered for as well, not just like be invited. It's beyond that, you know.
And that's the thing, because it's my hair. It's
my
such
hair.
an important
you can't play
thing.
In that.
Sometimes I see like spa packages and stuff, and it'll be like hair and makeup, and I'm like, not my hair.
Not for you. Even when you say so many, like the shampoo and conditioner, it's like there's no possible way. No. Just put in one for black hair. That's all. It's not going to cost that much money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that household, Vita's in there, obviously Bosco, the centre of attention.
Always.
But he's going through a lot.
Yes.
And I love the way that social media is so present in the show, because it plays such a big role in our lives. And as soon as things happen, it's on socials. And we see him kind of crack under that pressure.
Yeah. I think for that was important to me, because remembering that Bosco has been away largely from social media for a couple of years while he's been inside. So when he comes out, this whole thing of just like, whoa, suddenly there is all this scrutiny in a way that I haven't even been exposed to for the last 2 years. It's like, of course, he will crack under that pressure so much more. And he doesn't have anyone really guiding him on that, and anyone being like, okay, stay away. No. So like, obviously, I think what I wanted to say with Bosco is that the people around him, they still have the best intentions for him, but only he really knows what he's going through, and only he can kind of go through and come out of it the other side if he kind of does. And so this is what we see in like so many of our artists now. Like, everyone is under anyone even, in fact, is under so much scrutiny when it comes to social media. You can't really say anything. No. Not that you'd want to. Not that, like, I'm not someone who says a lot on the internet, because I just don't really. I'm 33. Like, the internet for me is one of those things that's there and it's all right, but it doesn't wake me up in the morning, and it doesn't if people, my Twitter notifications are off, like, I'm like, oh, thank you, that's nice, but I don't really haven't had anyone say anything nasty about the show to me. Good. Which is a surprise. I expected people to be like, oh, writing about these black people in the BBC one, but I don't know, but it didn't happen, so that's good.
You did the thing.
That's thank you. Thank you, Sinead, that's true. And so but social media to me isn't that thing, but I see in so many people. I've got a sister who's like 25. I see how the younger ones are affected by it, and how it can like make or break your day. And I'm like, well, you just turn off the phone. But I get that if you're growing up on it, it's not like that.
Yeah, no. And the thing about it is, social media is one thing for Bosco, but then his dad just comes in and makes it 10 times worse. Yeah. And he'll be going through something, and we're all sitting there watching, going, oh no, poor Bosco. And then the dad just comes in and goes, yeah, champion boy, no weak.
Yeah, exactly. But Beres is a really interesting person to me, and he's the person who people have contacted me about the most. And so, like, I know that growing up in the culture, I've seen a million, like, when I say a million Bereses, I mean like most men that I've come across in family, like extended family, that's a Beres. Like that to me is like, they dress well, they look good, and that's their mentality. And obviously in episode 6 we understand like where that's coming from. We understand that Beres didn't just wake up to be greedy and to be like, oh yeah, everyone needs to be strong. Like we see the foundations of Beres, and like that's the foundations of a lot of people. That's why I wanted to go back to Jamaica to be like, this is what it's like. And as a woman, it's different. Obviously, we have to be strong Black women, but like strength isn't the thing that makes or breaks who we are as a person. But like masculinity is so for Beres is so tied up in being a man, being strong, running the house, making people fear you. You know, he's walking around with that. He's got that machete that his dad had in. You know what I mean? So it's things like that. And so when it was the writing of Beres, I was like, yeah, this is like the easiest thing. But boy, the people have come to me to be like, he's all wicked, he's teething, he's bad. And it's like, I mean, yeah, that's not every single like Jamaican man, of course, but it's like
little bits.
You get bits and pieces. I took, you know, it's a TV show and it's fiction, but I took the bits and pieces of the character traits that I have seen and I have experienced in my life.
Yeah, because even me, my mum will always say to me, "You have Adams in you." I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to fix up. And it does help, but not always. Sometimes you do need to have those conversations. Yeah. And Mehmet is that friend for Bosco. Yes. Where Bosco is just like, I just don't know what I'm doing. And Mehmet's like, it's okay.
It's
like,
okay.
You need help.
Yeah. I try to give like everyone a counter person. And so everyone has like a yin to the yang basically. So you have the Bosco who is like really like... we know what Bosco is like, and then you have someone who's meant to be the opposite. Mehmet is quite chill. He's kind of like, I mean, obviously he has his own things going, his own secrets, but as a personality, like he's kind of like, he never meets Bosco where he is. And I would always say that to the writers, and I'd always say it to Kerim Hassan, who plays Mehmet. I'd say you never meet him where he is. Whenever he's at a 10, you never go to a 10. You are always at a 5 because you can't meet him there. That's the thing for you. And he was like, all right, okay, I get that. And then he always managed to, I think that was helpful just to be like, you're never where he is. And the same with Honey and Vita. Like they have very different like balancing energies. And then you have, it's funny, I've obviously grown up seeing, reading, understanding this idea that Black men who don't have dads are going to do X, Y, and Z. So I said, let me give them 2 dads.
Yeah.
And show that things can still happen. Do you know what I mean? So we have like Beres, but we also have Lennox, who is in the house. He's very present. He's overly present. He's overly caring. And actually he's not rewarded for it.
Not at
all. But we love him. You know, everyone keeps telling me justice for Lennox. I'm like, yeah, exactly. We love him. But yeah, Mehmet, he was always that person who was going to bring Bosco back to where he needed to be, you know, and even like towards the end when things are really going on, he's the person who knows where he is and like what Bosco is going through the most.
Yeah, definitely. And what you mentioned about where everything stems from for Beres, because all the characters we eventually see why they are the way they are. But for Beres, when we go back to Jamaica and you see him as a kid and you're like, oh, so this is why you're like that, because your dad is next level. Yeah. And there's a point where he kind of comes home with cuts and bruises and his dad's like, who did it? And he says, Curtis. And he goes, what, Hector bad breed jackets on Curtis? But I was just laughing because it's bad breed and jacket.
Both, it's the two. It's the double. It has to be. That's how it is. But that's the thing. Jamaicans, they talk in their own way, their own particular lyrical way. And being there and doing all of that was really fun. That was like the best. Because so many of the Jamaicans who were part of the production got so into it and they loved it. And they were just like, we have like Pampate as well, and we have Ching Ching, and like to have 2 musical artists as well who like jumped on the beat that we got. Jamaican producer made it, Not Nice, made the beat. And so we were like, I wanted it to be as like authentic as like possibly possible without getting like a Jamaican showrunner to join me. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like, but it was really important to do all of that stuff. But yeah, Jamaicans are their own thing. They have their own way of talking, and we wanted to be like, this is how they talk. I didn't want to do subtitles. I didn't want to like turn down the patter. It was just like, this is it. If you don't like it, then skip the episode. It's fine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's culture.
That's culture. I
think what's so funny is as soon as you land in Jamaica, you're just English girl.
That's exactly what happens to all of us when we go there. If we have not lived there, they can see you coming a mile off. Like even if you're dropped into the middle of like Trench Town, they still know that you're not from there. They just know. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. I suspect it's how we dress. I think that Jamaicans dress in a very specific way that we cannot emulate here. And so they just know us from that. But they'll call you that as well. They call you foreign. It's not nice.
I don't want to.
It's not, please. Do you know what I mean? I'm from here. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Don't sideline me like that. But that's what they do. And it's hard and it's painful. But, you know, we wanted those little things in because it's like, it's part of it being like an authentic show, authentic experience. It's real. Like you just, they don't care about you when you get there at all.
Yeah, and Berries kind of goes there thinking he's the man.
Yes.
And I think one thing he needed to learn was to dance a yard before you dance abroad.
Yes.
Because when you go to Jamaica and you're carrying on like you're the man, they'll think you have money.
That's the problem.
And he don't have money.
He doesn't have anything. But you know what? It's even, if you look at him playing dominoes in like episode 2 versus when he plays dominoes when he's in Jamaica, like he's so like, the bravado is on 10 in Jamaica and he's like throwing them down and he's telling everyone like, I'm going to take your money, I'm going to take your everything. But that's the thing, he's just a big showboater. And obviously in episode 1 he says to Vita, you know, your brother has to showboat less. And she says to him, where do you think you learned that from?
Yeah.
Because like he is the king, and that's the thing. When you go back to Jamaica, you pretend you just tell people you got everything, and they believe it.
Yeah. Berries' thing is just money, I think. Every time Bosco tries to come to him, he might just say, I'm a bit tired. He's like, tired? It's like, I don't think I'm ready for that. Ready? You better get ready.
Exactly.
That one hit hard.
Yeah, I know. Because this is the thing, I think like I've grown up with those little isms. And like even if you are like tired or you're not feeling well, that's not really acceptable
at all.
And so you just have to keep it moving. And I think like that's part of why I work so hard and I have such drive. And I haven't stopped. I started writing when I was 25 and I haven't stopped. So that's 8 years solid of like not doing anything else. I've been in project after project. Like this is the first time that I'm not like on a project where I need to be somewhere at every time of day in 8 years. Like that's, I'm not doing it again. I'm not signing up to anything like that really again for a long time. And so, but I know that's come from being told like, what are you waiting for? What are you relaxing for? There's no such thing.
Yeah.
And that's, I think it's a strength and I think it's a weakness because it means, we can do what we need to do. But also it's like, at what cost, Sinead? At what cost? Do you know what I mean? We're going to drop down.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then like with Bosco, it's his mental health, his physical health. When, you know, the thing happens at the end of episode 4, that means in episode 5, his dad comes to be like, what's going on? Bosco has no sympathy from the person, from the one person that he needs it from. And I think like, his dad is such an authority figure to him that he would do anything his dad says, which is part of the problem because he's bought into this idea that his dad is God. And his mum is just kind of like, you know, just there, the enforcer, the loud one, which is difficult. And that's another that's another household thing. Do you know what I mean? And so, his dad is just, if he says jump, he says how high. He says, if he says I'm not ready, his dad says you better get ready. That's how it goes. But it's difficult, I think. And I think we need to, one thing I've learned is having to be like, I can't do it right now. I can't. But Bosco's young, isn't it? He's 25, and he needs time to learn this stuff. It's just a baby, I think.
Yeah, because it's only recently even that I've learned to just cry if I need to cry.
Exactly. I started doing that when I was like 27, 28. But for years I was like, you shouldn't do that. You need to just be strong. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's mad. Like being embarrassed about it, or like doing it in secret, or like holding it in. That's the worst thing because it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out.
Yeah, and I think what's great is that conversation that Bosco has with his mum, where he says, "You guys never taught me to talk. All I knew was to get up on stage and pretend like everything's okay."
How do you know? How do you remember all of this stuff?
I remember.
This is amazing. You're never looking at your notes. I remember when I sent that, my one of my other writers, Edem, he sent that line back to me, and he said,
"It's on point."
But I think it's that, isn't it? It's just like, I don't think that we get taught to care as people in general. Anyone, I don't think anyone gets taught to care. I think because we as a people have been in survival mode for since look how long. I think we get taught how to like get up, go and make money, and come home and provide, and that's a difficult thing. I think that our white counterparts have always had space to be like, okay, what does it mean to like have a nanny? What does it mean to like not have to be working 24/7 to put food on the table? But we don't really know that as much yet. But but I think we're getting there.
Yeah, because it really shows up when his mum just says, you know, I've clothed you, I've fed you.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes that's great, but it's not enough.
Yeah, but you're still not asking if I'm all right. Yeah. And that's difficult. And I think like it was also looking at like my role as a woman and like women in this as well, and what we do to be part of that movement. But it's also just not knowing any better. And I know that for a long time, my mum didn't know any better. She was just like, yeah, but what you had food on the table. What's the problem? Why did you need me to ask how you were? It's like, are you hearing yourself?
Say it again.
Please, I'm not okay, you know?
Yeah, and what I love is how the representation is so strong. The stereotypes have been broken. I've seen so many shows about Jamaican culture, Black British culture, and I'm like, that's not what we are, that's not who we are. But you didn't have to make Berez a Rasta man with all the colours. You didn't have to have them saying Wagwan every 5 minutes to prove that they're Jamaican. No,
because that's crazy. As in, like, do you know, like all those, there are a few shows that have had the culture in it. And like thinking about like the Real McCoy, for example, back in the day, like that was kind of ending as I was growing up, but my mum would have like it on VHS and stuff. She would have recorded it from the TV. So I kind of knew that and got into that. And those were my first ideas of like what we were being shown as on TV. But that was all comedy. That was all amazing, because it was just like these little skits and like Misery's West Indian Takeaway. All of that stuff was like, what is it? That was just like, that was fun. But then we get into, I guess now, and it's still like, it all comes down to like what networks want to see from you. And luckily I worked with people at BBC One and people at Netflix who were like, no, you need to be true to the story that you need to tell for your culture. Because they knew that I wasn't going to come in and I wasn't going to give a family that were going to be stereotypical. Because I wanted to break the mold of what we see all the time. Because it's important, because otherwise we're never going to move forward if we're still just buying into ideas of what other people think about us. It's impossible.
Yeah, and it's such a great series. Strongly recommend to anyone that hasn't watched it, definitely watch it. You've written the book Queenie, People Person, so many great things. The ending, every time I watch it, I nearly cry, and then I have to be like, it's not real, Sinead.
It's not. You don't have to cry though. I cried a lot when I cried and I wrote it, and I cried because of the injustice, and I cried the last few times in the edit even. And I actually, you're gonna play obviously the next song, which is like the moment where you know
that's my favorite moment.
Exactly. So I would always cry when that moment happens. I know. Sorry, I had to. I don't really like happy endings because it's not real. But like, when that moment happens, I literally in the edit suite, I was just sobbing because I was just like, oh my god. Anyway, no happy endings. No happy endings here. But I think. I think we did something good with this one.
Definitely. No, it's actually amazing, but I have to ask, are we going to get a part 2?
Do you know what? I have people, my DMs are absolutely ablaze. People don't even say hello. They just message me. They just say, series 2? Question mark?
I see tweets like, when's the next bit coming out?
When is it? I know. Basically, I'm hopeful that we will do a series 2. That's all I can say at the moment.
Amen.
But I know everything has to align properly, right? But I know where I want it to go.
Nice.
And again, people are, this is not going to be a smooth ride because it's a Candice Carty-Williams production. So, but you know, we're there for the journey.
Yeah. Were there any characters in terms of story arc where you started off in one place and then they turned out to be different from how you initially pictured their journey to be?
I think one of my favourite arcs was Philip, the guy at the record label. Yeah. Because at the beginning, he's this kind of idiot who is like, urban division, da-da-da-da-da. And then actually by the end, you are like, right, you're playing the fool to catch the wise. You are like, Berez thought he was the puppet master. No, you are the puppet master on Berez. That's crazy. So his arc was really interesting. Vita's was my favourite. Just because she goes from, like, when I met Deja, who plays Vita, it was at the auditions, like maybe like the 3rd or 4th round. Like we had so many auditions to find Vita, and there was this little girl with this suitcase, And I was like, I'm assuming she's here for this, but like, why has she got a suitcase? Like, or does she work in the office and she's going on holiday? I don't know. And I said to her, why have you got a suitcase? And she was like, oh, I'm here for the audition, and after this I'm gonna go and do hair, because that's my side hustle. Is like doing people's hair. So if that's so sorry, I've brought my suitcase. And I was like, it's her. I knew, like, and then I knew that where we were going to take her by the end. If you talk to Deja now in the wrong way, if I asked about a suitcase now, she'd be like, who are you talking to? She wouldn't really, but you know what I mean? Like, just the journey of Vita and the journey of Deja was amazing to watch. And I said to her on the way back from one of the recording sessions before we started filming, I said, can you rap? And she was like, oh, like I used to do like some funny, you know, like silly raps at school, like DEJ to the A, you know, that sort of thing. And I was like, I'm gonna make you rap. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, no, I can't do that. And then on one of the last days of filming is when she was performing at the end of the series. And I walked in, the opening of the track started, and then she came out to rehearse. And at the end, I was bawling in front of everyone. And she had to jump off the stage and hug me. But I was like, I told you that you could do it. So just watching her journey, Vita and Deja, for me, that was the one that was like very close to my heart. Because like that character, she started and she ended exactly where she was meant to, and so did Deja. So that was amazing.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Candice in the building.